Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video in our series of Purple Facts, where we dig deep to bring you the funkiest facts about each one of Prince's albums. We were so glad to see the amazing response to our last video about the Come album, and we thank each and every one of you who took the time to watch, subscribe, and comment. Today's video marks the beginning of a brand new era in Prince's career. His first album under a new name that was of course the unpronounceable Symbol, commonly referred to as the love symbol. As he told us on the Come album, Prince as an artist under that name was dead, and he had been reborn as the Symbol. But what did that mean? How did it affect his sound? Of course, we're talking about the one and only Gold Experience. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Are you ready? Then let's go! So, as we touched on in the last video, although the Gold Experience was a new era, there's actually a lot of crossover between this album and Come. Although Gold Experience came out a year later, many of the songs had been recorded in the same time period as the Come album. Because of that, people often consider these albums almost like two sides of the same coin. But there was actually over a year between the two releases. Fact number 1. Much like the Come album, there were various different configurations of the Gold Experience that were in the works before the final version was configured. What's super interesting is that the very first configuration of the Gold Experience was done at the beginning of 1994, even though Come wasn't released until late 1994, and the Gold Experience wouldn't end up coming out until September 1995. With such a huge gap between the first configuration and the album release, you can imagine that version was very different, and that's indeed true. That early 1994 configuration of the Gold Experience contained a ton of songs that wouldn't end up making the final cut for this album, including Space, which got bumped up to the earlier released Come album, Interactive, Repop Go to Zipper, and Days of Wild. A song named Strength that remains unreleased to this day was also included, and two cover songs, Angie by the Rolling Stones, and The Jam by Graham Central Station. Two more configurations were done in March and May of 1994, which actually closely resemble what eventually came out. But then Prince appeared to make some sort of wildcard alternate configuration in the summer of 1994, which again was pretty different. This version contained Chaos and Disorder, Right the Wrong, and Rhythm of Your Heart, which he eventually gave to Mighthead. Finally, in October 1994, which remember is still 11 months before the album finally came out, Prince settled on a configuration that was virtually identical to what we ended up getting. The only difference being that Days of Wild was on there, which got removed at the last minute. As we've covered in a previous video, this long gestation period for the album unfortunately hurt the commercial performance of it. By the time the album came out, the smash hit single The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, which appears on this album, was already 19 months old. Fact number 2. We all probably have our own list of superstars that we would have liked to see Prince collaborate with. And eventually, Prince would make records that featured a lot of other acts from the music business outside of his own stable, such as having folks like Sheryl Crow, Eve, Chuck D, and Gwen Stefani on the Raven to the Joy Fantastic album. But there's one superstar that you might have missed on the Gold Experience, and that's because he only did backing vocals and also went uncredited. That's right, the one and only Lenny Kravitz has backing vocals on 2 tracks on this album, Dolphin and Billy Jack Bitch. Have a listen and see if you can hear him. Fact number 3. Like most Prince eras, there's a ton of ideas and songs that were planned, but didn't come to fruition. Some of these projects include an unreleased video for P Control, and an unreleased live EP which was set to contain the songs Come, Endorphin Machine, and Hide the Bone. As for unreleased songs, some unreleased songs from this era include songs called We Can Get It On, What It Is, 1010, and rather amusingly, a song called Then. Because obviously the Gold Experience has a song called Now, so why shouldn't it also have one called Then? Prince going that extra mile as always, but that's one of the many reasons why we love him. Oh, and one more thing. Although the video for I Hate You is now released and viewable on the official Prince YouTube channel, before this upload in 2018, it had never actually been officially released and had only been shown a few times at Paisley Park. Fact number 4. The Most Beautiful Girl in the World might win some sort of purple award for being the song with the most amount of different versions. So first off, you've got the single version. Then you've got the Gold Experience version, which is similar to the single version, but with the extra sound effects. Then there's the version Beautiful Girl with Eric Leeds on sax. You've then got another mix called the Sax Mix, which doesn't have Eric Leeds, but does have Brian Gallagher on sax. You've got Maite's version, The Most Beautiful Boy in the World. Maite's Spanish version, Quieres ser el más bello de este mundo. Prince's remix that's just called Beautiful. The extended club remix of Beautiful. Yes, a remix of a remix, done by Simon Harris. You've got Prince's Staxo Wax remix, his Staxo Wax remix of the remix called Sexy Saxophone and Guitar. You've got the Mustang mix, the Mustang instrumental, and finally you've got the flute instrumental. But you know what? It ain't over. Nope, there's yet more versions that remain unreleased. So remember Maite's Spanish version? Well, originally there was a plan to record several different language versions of the song with artists from different countries. Prince was also working with a French artist at this time, a lady named Ophélie Winter, and she recorded a French version of the song, which translated to Le garçon le plus beau dans l'univers. You'll have to excuse my French pronunciation there if it's not totally correct. Had enough yet? Nope. There's another unreleased mix which combines the saxophone mix with Prince's vocals, and yet one more completely different version done in 1996 called the Mustang Mix 96. And let's be honest, those are just the ones we know about. God damn. And that leads us into fact number 5. The reason why you can't actually listen to The Most Beautiful Girl in the World on Spotify or other streaming services. Well, there's been a lawsuit going on since 1995. 2 Italian songwriters filed a lawsuit claiming that Prince plagiarized the song from a song they wrote called Taking Me to Paradise, released under the artist name Reynard J. I've listened to the song and frankly, I think the chances of Prince ripping off a fairly obscure Italian disco song are pretty slim. I mean, this is Prince, one of the most prolific songwriters that ever lived. But this is why we haven't seen an official re-release yet of the Gold Experience, and why the song is generally grayed out and unplayable on many streaming services. Fact number 6. Depending on how you look at it, there were either 3 singles released from the Gold Experience, or 6. The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, I Hate You, and Gold all had full worldwide single releases. But there were actually 3 other promo singles. Dolphin and P-Control were released as promo singles in the US, and Endorphin Machine was released as a promo single in Japan. Fact number 7. The horn parts that you hear on the excellent song Billy Jack Bitch, which is one of my favorites from this album, actually come from 2 different songs. One part comes from a song that the Hornheads, who performed on this track, had already recorded, a track called New Del Inn. And another part is much older. It's an interpretation of an old Thelonious Monk jazz track called Well You Needn't. Have a listen to both and see if you can hear them. Fact number 8. Prince was well known for tapping basically anyone who was around to do things he needed at any given time. With that in mind, it should be no surprise that the voice of the NPG operator was none other than the receptionist from the studio The Record Plant, whose name is Rain Ivana. Speaking of NPG operator, there's 4 NPG operator segues that were recorded that don't appear on this album. Segues 8, 9, and 10 all appear on the NPG sampler tape, and segue number 2, which is unreleased, is one that says, "You have just accessed the space experience."
You've just accessed the space experience. Please enjoy.
This one obviously got removed because Space ended up coming out much earlier than the other songs referenced in these segues on the Come album. And that's it for another facts video. Did you enjoy it? What's your favourite song from the Gold Experience? Let us know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss future videos. My name is Casey Rain, we are the Violet Reality, and we'll catch you next time for more facts. Peace and be wild.
Hey, St. Pollock here. Make sure you go subscribe to The Violet Reality, the funkiest channel on YouTube.